Hello! NEJE made something new again, so here I have some package to check. It's NEJE 4 Max version 2 with E80 laser model, honeycomb panel, rotary device and USB camera. But in this video I'll only review the new laser engraver NEJE Max 4 version 2 and a honeycomb panel. Rotary device and USB cam I'll show you in another video. Let's start with unboxing. Box is the exact same size as from NEJE 4, but it's almost 4 kg heavier. As always, NEJE pack and protect their products very well, with specially designed foam insert. When uncover the top layer of foam, we can see that the box is much more filled like in NEJE 4. On top of the box you can find manual, control box, few bags with cables and tools, laser model, air assist pump and tube, cable chains, power supplies and completely pre-assembled X-axis. And below in the box is front and rear L profile and two Y-axis rails. As usually, check a bit closer what we get. Manual are bigger than it was, with colored photos, very short but very clear manual, with just that much information as we need. Then we got here something new on version 2, its control box. A small aluminum housing mounted on powder painted steel with a power switch, emergency button and multifunction button, and a power supply socket from backside. We can see here that the key switch directly turn on and off the main power. Emergency switch has two wires, one go to motherboard and the other just out of the box, so we can connect our own safety switch for enclosure. And multifunction button go direct to motherboard. All the cables is nicely managed to exact right length and every cable connector is labeled where to connect. Then we have here power supplies. The one for supply the machine is 5 amp 24 volts, a bit smaller with better design than old one, and a small power supply 12 volts 2 amp to supply the air pump. Now let's check all these bags. In the first one we find all the cables to connect the stepper motors and laser module. Every connector is labeled and every pin is secured into connector with some glue. In the other bag is about 3 meter of 6 by 4 mm air tube with quick coupling. Here we have bag with belts and new model of belt tensioners. Another one with 1.5 meter quality USB cable. Accessory bag where we find chain holders, all the screws and hex keys we need for assembly, grease for linear rails and zip ties. Another bag with relay board and cables, and red protective goggles. In this box is heart of machine. It's NEJE E80 laser model. I already make a close-up review of this model in NEJE 4 video, so I won't open this one and ruin the warranty. But just look at this beast with 24 watt optical power, precisely machined aluminum housing, huge core, double temperature controlled fan, make it weight almost 600 grams. Old model has protective lens and short nozzle, but its power make a lot of dust which lead to damage this lens. So new model just has a tiny hole in nozzle where the air blow out and prevent dust to get in contact with the lens. Into model box we also find manual, new model of universal model clamp with a knob, spring, linears and so on. Just look how nicely it's machined. Then there's long nozzle, mounting screws, 6 mm tube coupling, and I really like that they add a spare lens which is located under the nozzle to protect core from dust. With version 2 NEJE decided to add air pump together with machine as basic equipment, so it keep the lens clean and save many issues. So we have here a Resun DC50 air pump, which is heavier than can even imagine. It has long rubber legs which terminate every vibration, and the pump is also very quiet. It can provide about 50 liters of air per minute, but on quite low pressure, because it's not a compressor for air assist but just a pump to keep the lens clean. It's 12 volt version, so we can plug direct to power supply, or we can use relay board which will turn on and off the pump by the software. Then we got here two different length cable chains, size 50 by 20 mm, which is very solid and each link can be opened for easier installation. Two Y-axis rails with grinded wheel surface for better precision, and front and rear L profile as a part of the frame. And then there's completely assembled X-axis with many improvements from NEJE 4. Actually it's completely redesigned. I really like how the aluminum pieces are machined to perfection. Every corner, every edge is chamfered, and many spots are slightly milled, which make everything more solid and rigid. X-axis belt is located on top of rail, and it's 10 mm wide instead of 6. All belt tensioners are redesigned and has integrated spring which hold the belt evenly tensioned. Side plates are bigger, so upper wheels is more apart, which provide better rigidity. And the best thing is that they install only one wheel below, which has a center for super easy and precise clearance setup. Another big improvements they make by install these bearings, which work as a belt guide. It keeps the belt in center of groove, otherwise it can scratch by the sharp edges on rails. They leave linear rail on x-axis, but make x-carriage longer and stronger, plus they add another linear bearing, so everything is more accurate and stronger. On left side of carriage is free space for additional laser clamp, and on right side is z-axis, which is also completely redesigned. It's made simpler with much less parts, but still everything out of aluminium. Instead of one linear rail and bearing, it uses two linear rods and bushes. Entire axis is more flat, so center of gravity is closer to x-axis, which mean a lot when using a 600-gram laser model. New thing is also knob on top of stepper motor with a scale, which make manual positioning so much easier. The old Z-axis has 45mm of travel, but the new one only has 20mm, but honestly we don't need more because laser model can be clamped in any position. And on left side is also redesigned motherboard. Biggest difference I notice here is that motherboard has no limit switches, otherwise look quite the same. 4 stepper drivers because rotary axis got its own driver, 32-bit microcontroller, they leave C1 multifunction button, door or safety connector, M7 and M8 digital outputs to control the fan, air assist or any other device. It works on 12 or 24 volts and also has built-in Bluetooth connection and storage for offline work. Assembling the NEJE Max 4 V2 is super easy and should be done in less than half an hour. Just follow that few steps clearly described into manual. First of all I install y-axis rails between the wheels, and I think that's the best time to set up its tightness, because now you can feel the pressure on each axis, so you can feel that is there a backlash or too tight movement. Setup with extending wheels is super easy. Then we should install control box on left profile, but I was too smart and continued installing front and rear L profile. Screws are already in Y profile, so you just need to be careful that the flat screws are behind. On backside only screw lower 2 screws, then insert the belt through the hole for about 10mm and secure them with upper screws. Then turn the laser and manage the belt under the wheel and bearing, cover the motor pulley and continue under the bearing and wheel on front side through the hole. Then take the belt tensioners, which is redesigned, so installation is much simpler. Just fully untie the lower screw with a spring and remove the tiny screw which tied the belt. Then install it on and pull belt through the hole, which isn't much bigger than the belt, so you'll need some pliers here. Then fix tensioners on frame with 2 screws. Handily tie the belt and tie the blocking screw. Now set the lower screw just that much that it touches the spring while belt is just barely tensioned. And then measure the distance of spring and tie the screw until the spring is compressed for 2mm. That means that the belt is perfectly tensioned and so we can tie the side blocking screw. When the belts are evenly tightened and everything runs as it should, we can cut the excess belt. Because I skipped the first step, I need to disassemble a bit again to mount the control box, which got a square nut to tighten inner side of rails. If you follow the manuals, just slide it on rail and tighten both screw. Then mount the aluminum chain holders, one on left Y carriage and other on X carriage. And now the cable chains. We can see that on Y-axis the chain is longer even if there is less movement. That's because if you buy extension kit to expand Y-axis to 460mm to 1030mm, we don't need to replace the chain, because it will be long enough. Before I screw the chains on, I will install the cables, because it's easier to do when the chains are stretched. Into long chain we need to insert all the cables from control box, except M8 cable, which is already zip tied in position. Beside of all cables we need to insert also tube and USB cable. Chains are big enough, so it's an easy job. All cables are perfectly laid to reach the motherboard. Only the tube continues its way through X-axis chain next to Z-axis and laser cable. Then I screw chains on position, plug the cables to motherboard and manage them by using some zip ties. Connecting is so simple since there are every connector labeled, beside of great manual. When we're done it should look something like this. I arranged them real quickly, but still got really clean installation. Out of the chain we have now only USB cable, tube and M8 cable to control the pump. On other side should be tube, laser and Z-axis cable long enough to follow the Z-axis travel. Before I attach the E80 I will mount the second clamp for using any other laser model. Then remove the side screw, install 90° tube coupler and connect tube into. And for the last step, connect the air pump. Into relay board screw both attached cables and plug M8 cable, which will trigger the relay. Relay is 12 volts but also work on 24 volts without issues. Then just plug 12 volts power supply on one side and pump driver on other side. Then screw the tube connector into pump, plug the tube and you're done. Oh, actually not yet without power supply. NEJE 4 Max V2 is now assembled and ready to use, and I think it's really nice piece of machine. For even more details you can check my video about NEJE 4 since many things stay the same. But if I compare once again we can see here it's quite different machine. NEJE 4 Max I got here is one of first versions, so it even hasn't cable chains yet. Biggest difference instantly noticed is control box and nicely managed cable chains on V2. Then there's much bigger X carriage, belt is on upper side which allow us to engrave thicker pieces. Side carriages are redesigned, so the wire motors are mounted on inside, better belt tensioners and many more details like new motherboard which make machine better, more accurate and much faster. Before I make a first test with new machine I need to protect my table mat, so here I have honeycomb panel from NEJE 3, which is just a bit too big so panel can't fit perfectly into NEJE 4. Usually I put a few pieces of wood under so the panel can go over the front and rear L profile. But there was problem with leveling, so NEJE also sent me a new honeycomb panel which perfectly fit in NEJE 4 Max first or second version. I will just quickly unbox it so you'll see how seriously NEJE take packaging and protection. For more details check my video about honeycomb panel. You can notice that the panel is protected very well, otherwise panel is just the same as it was, because why to change things that work super. Panel is just a bit smaller so it fit perfectly in all NEJE Max series. It has a few more reinforcement bars which make panel even more flat. And the best thing is that they add a piece of inox nicely cut on laser to protect the surface below. Panel is super heavy since it's made completely out of galvanized steel, except nice aluminum frame. With honeycomb panel and inox plate we also get rubber legs and 4 magnets to secure position of part on the panel. Now I can prepare the PC, plug USB cable and power supply for the pump and engraver. When open a NEJE app, it surely reminds me to download a new one, which instantly connect to machine and do homing. Video already become long, so I won't explain software into details, but as you may see in previous videos, software is super easy to use. But NEJE work a lot on their app, so in a year they add quite a lot of function, like group of settings which can be saved and used in more layers like in Lightburn. Much more settings, start and end G-code and so on. There are many pictures and also useful vector files, even some free puzzles. Before start we need to set laser on right position. Z-axis has 20 mm of travel, but after homing axis isn't at 0 position but on about 2 to 3 mm, so we only have 17 mm of travel left. So move Z-axis 70 mm down and clamp the laser at 25 mm. Focus in 0 position is now 70 mm from surface, so if you want to engrave 5 mm material, we set Z-axis to 12 mm to get perfect focus. Firstly I tried to engrave the GTA girl as usual in same size and I was impressed. In 15 minutes it engraved better than usually in 20 to 30 minutes. Then I closed the NEJE app and switched to GRBL mode to connect with Lightburn. Where I just add a new device and with a few clicks setup is done. Working area, homing, everything is presetted automatically, like real plug and play. Then I try with cutting 5mm plywood and quickly noticed it's not gonna work, so I try with 3mm which cuts slowly in 2 passes. Then I try long nozzle and get quite same result on 5mm plywood, so I know I need a real air assist. The pump is great to get the dust away from the lens, but it just don't work as air assist. So I take a hose and a regulator which plugged to air compressor and air assist tube from NEJE 4. That tube didn't come with a V2, but it's definitely worth a buy. I have 12 volts air valve where I integrated small voltage regulator so it worked nicely on 12 or 24 volts. Chains was big enough to get another tube through without problems. Then mount air valve, plug it to M7 connector and continue with the tube through the X chain to the laser. Now I need to turn on M7 and M8 while cutting. It's simply an NEJE app but didn't find an option in Lightburn, so I just go to device settings and set start G-code to M7 and M8 and end G-code to M9 and it works. When start cutting, air pump turn on and air valve open high pressure air assist. In first try with higher speed it didn't cut through, but we can see the difference. Cut is thinner and cleaner, so it can easily cut 5mm plywood now with precise and clean cut at edge. When engraving, I turn off air assist on M7 or simply close manual valve on tube. But the air pump on M8 need to run all the time when laser working if you want to keep lenses clean. With a powerful model like E80 is quite hard to engrave on soft wood, but that's why second version of NEJE 4 has another laser clamp, so I install on N3820 laser model. To do that, first of all turn off the power and unplug the power supply. Replace the laser and switch cables. 2 pin cables stay in the air. Then plug 12 volts power supply and that's it. Some models are already redesigned to work on 12 or 24 volt, but if you have older 12 volts model, be very careful while switching the model to use right power supply. Result is already much better. Engrave is darker and not engraved that deep, so I install another old 3500 model. One of first NEJE models which still make the best grayscale and any kind of engrave on soft wood. Because of low power and really small focal point, it needs much more time, but the result is amazing every time. It makes surface black and evenly engraved into wood. But on hardwood also E80 made great result with much bigger speed. That image was engraved with 200mm per second using E80 model in just 20 minutes, while with 20W model to get quite same result with speed 70mm per second need more than 40 minutes. It cut 3mm plywood just like butter. With proper setup air assist it make nice and clean cut in a single pass. Plywood plates are bended sometimes, so I use hooks to make out of 3mm plywood which nicely fits into NEJE Honeycomb panel in different directions, and they are strong enough to hold bended plywood plate completely flat on its position. During testing the laser, friend need 20 pieces of wooden coins to engrave, so I make 5 holes into cardboard which hold the position, then just insert pieces, engrave, change and repeat, without any positioning, real small serial work. Besides also need to engrave a bigger box which isn't go under the laser, so I simply put laser on box without any fixture. Laser works so smooth without vibrations, so it do the job without any fail, even if half of laser was in the air. E80 cut spruce wood so good. In just 3 passes we got really nice and clean cut on 10mm soft wood. With proper settings of their assist it can cut up to 25mm, but there comes so much smoke and dust that chamber is a must. We can plug another relay parallel to M7 or M8 to control chamber ventilation, or control via same relay if the consumer works on same voltage. I already showed the possibilities of E80 in NEJE 4 video on many different materials, but got many comments if it can cut inox, so I buy some inox sheet to make test. Look like I forgot the recording, but here is the result. It actually can cut 0.1 to 0.15mm inox, but we need a special clamp which prevent the forming of inox. And beside, cut is almost 1mm wide and rough, so I don't see this as useful cut. NEJE 4 Max V2 can work with amazing speed 1000mm per second and velocity 100,000mm per square second. Just look how fast it is. and it still make amazing result without bigger fail. It is so fast that I notice when framing something far from home position, motor's losing its steps, but in next few days firmware update was released which fixed the issue without lower down the speed. But in engraving we need to find compromise between speed and quality of engrave. Here I make some text engrave in different sizes and speeds, and as you can see, slower we engrave, more accurate the results are. 10mm letters can be engraved even with 40 to 50 mm per second, but for smaller 2mm letters need to lower down the speed to 10mm per second or less. With 5mm per second nicely engrave even 0.8mm letters. With a single line font even 0.5mm letters will be completely readable. Another function of NEJE 4 I like is plotting. In less than a minute we can transform engraver into plotter. Simply take the laser model from Z-axis and put on pen holder. I got first version of pen holder which is too short for a NEJE 4 V2. So I simply make an extension out of 30 by 5mm aluminum profile. I also make more treats on, so I can mount holder vertical or in few tilted position, because some pens work better when they're angled. Now put some flat mat on panel or flat cardboard also work well, and fix that paper on, I just using some tape. When Z-axis is in home position, set the pen for about 1mm from paper, and then into light burn, go into device settings and make sure to turn off optimize Z moves, and into line settings set Z offset to 2mm or 1.5mm depend on your pen settings, and that's it. Now just click start and watch how fast our code come to life. We can use different types of pens and markers, and on same way work also sticker cutter, but I don't got holder for that tiny sharp knives to make a try. Just like with laser, also with pen we can draw lines or fill the areas. It's great function to make some plans, color books for kids, drawing a PCB for etching and so on. I didn't show you yet all the functions of new control box, so check what the buttons do. Key switches for turn on and off the power supply. Second, latching switch is emergency button. If we push anytime, machine will immediately stop working. Light burn will say check the door, but even when we release the button, need to stop the job, homing and start again. While in NEJE app, just press play and continue with engraving. From that button we also got a connector to plug chamber door safety switch. And the third button is parallel with C1 button on motherboard, it's multifunction button. During work in light burn or NEJE app, it works as a pause button. If we push once, laser stop, to continue push once again. If we push and hold button for 3 seconds, motherboard will switch between NEJE mode and GRBL mode, so we don't need to open NEJE app just to switch in GRBL mode. And if we hold button for 5 seconds, machine will completely turn off or on without turn off the switch. With that button we also control offline working. Into NEJE app set up everything like speed, power, Z offset, positioning and so on. Then instead of play button, click arrow to transfer G-code into machine. Same into light burn, set up everything and then go to console and type $rec to start recording. Then click play button, don't worry, laser won't work in rec mode. And when the light burn record the file, type $rec again and enter to exit record mode. Maybe sound complicated, but light burn offers us a link to NEJE wiki where is everything nicely described with photos. In both cases, if we use NEJE app or light burn, we have a G-code on motherboard now, so prepare the material and turn on the machine. Then click button once for homing and twice to start the job. During work we can pause and resume with one push. This is great function for serial engrave, so we don't need a PC turned on all the time. That's about it. I know that review part is a bit mess. I want to focus on difference between NEJE 4 and exposed improvements on version 2. For more information about the machine, especially about the E80 laser model, you can find in NEJE 4 Max video. As I said, there are some really good improvements on V2, like control box, Z-axis with a knob, and I really like that second clamp, so I can put any laser model next to E80 without moving its position. But it's true that if we mount second clamp on, we lose on about 20mm of X-axis travel, which is already a bit smaller than on NEJE 4 because of stepper motor's position. Here you can see the outer dimensions and working area, which is 460 by 700 mm, but with second clamp on, working area is 460 by 680 mm. Because it has no limit switch, it simply changes home position when it hit the clamp. Laser work amazing, everything work in the first try without any settings in light burn and so on. Just quick assembly and machine is ready to plug and play. Some will miss more z-axis travel, but for me 20 mm is enough. But honestly, I miss the limit switches. That way work just okay, but home position isn't always at same spot. When homing, it can change position for about half of millimeter here and there. So my advice, if you work some project with more layers, just don't homing when you start working. Amazing upgrade is also a pump, which is very quiet and keep laser lens completely clean. After a few hours of using, there wasn't a single dirt on the lens. And also entire machine, I could say it worked more quiet with less vibration, while it's faster and stepper motor are definitely cooler than on NEJE 4. Oh yeah, and there was another thing that bothered me. But the NEJE Mini, which can engrave vertical, come to solve the issue and label the machine as it should be. For the end, I can just say amazing machine for the price. Especially for cutting. For engraving, I advised another low power model. For more information and order, check below into video description for a link. Hope you'll get some useful information in this video. Stay tuned for next video about NEJE USB camera and NEJE R6 rotary axis. So thanks for watching, like, share and subscribe if you like, and see you next time.